This video is about alliteration and rhyme. So the goal by the end of this video, you should be able to identify and create your own examples of alliteration and rhyme. Starting off with alliteration. Alliteration is a group of words that have the same sound at the beginning of each word. So some examples include, there was probably a problem at the post office. So you hear that stress on that p sound at the beginning of each of those words. That is alliteration. Another example, you see a sight that almost stops your heart. And again, that s sound at the beginning of each of those words shows alliteration. Now the words don't have to be right next to each other as seen in these two examples, but sometimes they are. So if you saw in the definition of alliteration, it's in there, same sound, s, s, right after one another. But sometimes, again, like these two examples down here, sometimes there's one word or a couple of words in between the alliterative words, and that's okay. As long as the idea is there, as long as you can kind of hear it, it's considered alliteration. So look at these examples below. Where do you see alliteration in each of these examples? I'll fade away and not have to face the facts, so sad and slow, and dark skin of a summer shade. Go ahead, pause and see if you can figure it out. Okay, hopefully you figured it out, and hopefully you got it right. So we have I'll fade away and not have to face the facts, that f sound. And then so sad and slow is that s sound again. And then dark skin of a summer shade, again, the s sound at the beginning of each of those words. One thing I want to point out about alliteration is sometimes something could look like alliteration, but not actually be alliteration. So look at this example here. The city lights were calling your name. And so you're looking at it and you're like, oh, city and calling both start with C. However, city and calling do not sound the same. Alliteration is all about how words sound. So something could look like alliteration, but again, it's not actually an example of alliteration because it has to sound the same, not just look the same. Something that has this in common is actually rhyme. So rhyme is when there are two lines or sentences, and the last word of each line or sentence sound the same or similar. You probably saw some alliteration there. Sound the same or similar. Has that s, s, s sound. You see it everywhere after you kind of know what it is. So look at this example. It's simple. It's the principle on any tempo. I'm invincible. Both of those lines, the end of both of those lines have the same, the same sound or the same ending of the word. Principle and invincible have that incible at the end. Principle has a PLE, invincible has a BLE, but when it's sung or said, it sounds about the same. So it is considered a rhyme, even though the words or the letters in each word aren't the exact same. It's still considered a rhyme because there are many different types of rhyme. Rhymes aren't perfect. So we actually do have different examples of perfect rhymes and imperfect rhymes. These are really, really close rhymes. So in perfect, we have single. Rhyme stress is on the final syllable of the word, so at the end of the word. So it's in my mind, I must be kind. That "ind" rhyme is at the end of the word. Double, it means that the rhyme stress is on the second to last syllable. So you were caught boasting, now you're in for a roasting. So the stress is on the front end of each word, so boast and roast. Ing is both the same as well, but the stress is on the beginning of the word, and it's got two syllables. Boasting, roasting, two syllables. The stress is on the first one. Dactylic means that the stress is on the third to last syllable. This is very uncommon because not a lot of rhymes use three or more syllabic words. But it is an example. So do you think that top is wearable when in reality it is terrible? So the stress is at the beginning, and both of those words have three syllables, and the stress is on the first syllable. Wearable, terrible. Do the and able both rhyme as well? True, yes, they're both true rhymes, but the stress of the word is on the front of it. Don't worry too much about double and dactylic. We're not going to get super into it. I just wanted to include it in the example because it's important to kind of know. But again, those you won't get into until later, so we won't get into them this time. For perfect rhymes, we're going to mostly focus on single rhymes. Imperfect rhymes, however, we will talk about. Near rhyme or slant rhyme is where words have the same sound, but it's unstressed. So these front three have like really big stressors. Near rhyme is like the stress isn't on it, or it's not quite perfect. So for example, some things I see something that reminds me of what I'm missing. So thing and sing aren't the exact same sound. However, they sound similar enough that it's considered a rhyme. That's the same as our principle and invincible, where the pull and bull sound, they're different, but they sound so similar that it is considered a rhyme. That's a near rhyme. So when they sound kind of similar, but not perfect, it's near rhyme. And then identical rhyme, it's like, hey, this sounds perfect, but it's spelled differently. So you go your way, let scales weigh, and drink protein whey. Those all sound the same, but they are spelled differently. It's considered rhyme, but it can't be perfect rhyme because it's not written the same way. So we call it identical rhyme, where the sound is identical, but the written word is not. So I would take a screenshot of this and save this chart for your notes for the future. This chart is also on a practice assignment as well. So you'll have it there, or you can take a screenshot of this video as well for it. Now, another example activity. So read each example and decide what type of rhyme it is and what the rhyming words are. So looking back at that chart from earlier. I let all that get to my head. I don't care, I paint the town red. And our second example, and you would hide away and find your peace of mind with some indie record that's much cooler than mine. So go ahead, pause and look at these examples and decide what type of rhyme it is and what the rhyming words are. Hopefully you've had time to pause and think about it, and these are the answers. Head and red, that's a single perfect rhyme. We do have that EAD in head, but it is still considered a perfect rhyme. So yeah, I let all that get to my head. I don't care, I paint the town red. And then the Taylor Swift example is a near rhyme. Mind and mine are not the same sound, but they sound similar enough that it's a near rhyme. It's close enough. It's on the slant. So yeah, mind and mine are near rhyme. So hopefully by the end of this, you are able to identify and create examples of alliteration and rhyme. If you still feel unsure, I would definitely watch this video again, take some notes, do some practice with alliteration and rhyme before you take that quiz. So again, this has been Alliteration and Rhyme, and I wish you the best of luck on this lesson.